Calaroga Shark Media.
A very, very robust Monday. Hi, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. A good joke by Jimmy Kimmel, who said Marjorie Taylor Greene is acting like such a child that Matt Gaetz asked her out on a date. By the way, if you want some political comedy, check out the Ballot podcast. So I'm of two minds here. One, this really is a robust show with a lot of great stuff. On the other hand, honestly, kind of frustrated. I wrote and recorded this on Friday because I was going to Cleveland on Saturday and just needed to get in front of things. So I will talk about Katt Williams, and I will talk about Tom Brady, and I will talk about the Pop-Tarts movie. I'll do all that tomorrow because as I record this, haven't seen him yet. That kind of sucks. By the way, the big difference between Cleveland and the Golden Globes, Cleveland has fewer camera shots of Taylor Swift. Heading into the weekend, Jeff Ross thought that Tom Brady was going to have the strongest set during the roast of Tom Brady. Ross said, I watched him running some material. He's ruthless. He wants to win his own roast. I caught him the last Super Bowl he won like 3 years ago. On Super Bowl Sunday, I saw him looking at my Instagram stories. I'm posting roasty jokes about the Super Bowl, and I happen to see Tom Brady verified account, and he's playing in the Super Bowl in 3 hours, and I'm like, this is what this guy's doing right before the Super Bowl? And then he won. And I said, man, I think you'd be a great person to roast. We can invite Julian Edelman. He can explain the jokes to Gronk. It could be a fun night out. Brady was like, LFG, let's go. Then he agreed to do it. He signed the contract. Then to get out of it, he unretired for 2 years. To his credit, he stuck with it, and he's brave, man. The thing I love about Tom Brady is he's a student of the roast, and it was his dream to get roasted. Katt Williams. Big profile in the New York Times. I shared it in the Facebook group on Friday, Daily Comedy News podcast group. The New York Times says, with a Mr. Rogers level of thoughtfulness, Katt said, I thought I'd worked out a way of breaking the internet, and I felt pretty confident, so I kind of wrote it like a one-man movie with the intention of the outcome, and trails off there. The Times says, few people are better at weaving narratives that seem too incredible to be true than Katt Williams, like when Katt describes how he taught himself to fall asleep exactly 59 seconds. Or as Katt Williams himself puts it, the benefit of Katt Williams Live is that you don't know in any way what he's going to say. I try to write the 7 to 10 most bleeping things that I think, and I try to make that into the comedy show. An hour-long special comprises 10 to 12 standalone pieces, which usually leaves Katt looking to add a bit or two as he's writing. For this set, he pared down what started as a 90-minute set. On the road, Katt watches footage of the previous night for the first 30 or so dates. Katt says, my job's to let this guy know, hey, you're looking old out there. You're going to work this stage? He says most often he's not refining the words, but the delivery, a bigger gesture and a different tilt of the head. By the way, if you're in Cincinnati, April 27th, you missed it, is now Katt Williams Day. Yeah. Cincinnati proclaimed Katt Williams Day due to his notable career and performances at established venues such as the Improv. Amy Schumer was honored at the Variety Power of Women. She told a yucky story about on a recent project, the crew's production assistant had been sexually harassed by an actor on set. Amy says she told the appropriate people and did what she needed to do to feel safe and to heal. I called her to apologize and thank her for speaking up for the women who would come after her that she had saved. This isn't perfect. This is progress. And many of you here today, your work will help guide these women so when the time comes, they'll say, oh, I'm so sorry, not on my watch, MFer. Here's a clip from Amy.
Some people may say that women are good leaders. I know, I'm serious. Some people, they think we're good at communicating and maybe we should be running more things. It's crazy. And we carry the wisdom of so many brilliant women before us. We know from bell hooks that learning to love our female selves is where our search for love must begin. From Gloria Steinem, we know that we are linked, not ranked. From Paula Giddings, that one of our core principles should be making women equal to women.
Somebody else who spoke at this was named Sasha Seinfeld. Seinfeld, that name is familiar. Sasha Seinfeld is a staff writer on Life and Beth. Oh, and she's the daughter of Jerry Seinfeld. That's weird because Jerry sometimes puts Amy in movies. Oh, okay. Welcome to Hollywood, everybody. That's how it works. Sasha spoke about Amy Schumer. Here, let's listen.
Amy, a smart person unafraid of seeming dumb, was my entry point into womanhood. What she lacks in propriety, she makes up for in chutzpah. Until Amy, no one had ever told me to be courageous, be saucy, confront people, say your wildest, most truthful inner thoughts, take that last shrimp before someone else does. She is exactly the kind of woman I want to be.
In another clip I don't have audio of, Sasha Seinfeld is telling a story about Amy Schumer at the memorial dinner for Jimmy Buffett. I didn't know Jimmy Buffett and Amy Schumer were tight. Welcome to Hollywood, everyone. When Jane Buffett entered the room of grieving guests, Amy took one of her boobs out, walked right up to Jane and gave her a big hug. It cut right through the darkness and made everyone smile. Sasha Seinfeld said Amy said to daughter Delaney Buffett, I could see them being friends, as I believe both the Seinfelds and Buffetts have homes in the Hamptons. Maybe Amy does too. According to Sasha, Amy joked, if it makes you feel any better, I wish my dad was dead. Sasha Seinfeld, writer on Amy Schumer projects, her dad is Jerry Seinfeld. Have you heard of him? He's got a new movie called Unfrosted. He's not going to like the reviews. Here's a roundup. The Chicago Sun-Times declared Unfrosted one of the decade's worst movies. If there was such a thing called the IMDb Witness Protection Program, where you could get your name taken off the credits of a particular project, this would be that project. Wow. I'm quite surprised because the trailer looked fun. As I record this on Friday, I haven't seen it yet. Planning on watching it with my wife at 7 p.m. It's on the family calendar. That said, a lot of Netflix movies are terrible. Netflix, I feel like in the last 4 months has gotten a lot better, but a lot of Netflix movies have been pretty terrible. The Daily Globe and Mail called it one big steaming pile, ... a distressingly laugh-free affair. Like a long-lost Lorne Michaels-produced SNL feature from the 90s. Jokes so hacky that Kenny Bonya wouldn't touch them, and the pacing so slow, it rivals Elaine's experience during The English Patient. Yikes. The Daily Beast called the movie as bad as you'd expect. Superior to Seinfeld's B movie, it's content to be childishly silly rather than legitimately weird. There's nothing particularly awful about it, but there's also very little that's memorable. That's kind of what I'm expecting. Collider wrote, considering we're in a world where Barbie can make $1.4 billion, it's a shame Unfrosted doesn't try harder. Again, even a film like Weird, the wonderful Weird Al movie, managed to make its jokes and cameos work as part of a larger story, whereas Unfrosted always puts the story on the back burner. The San Francisco Chronicle says Seinfeld's over-the-top throw and everything but the kitchen sink approach makes for an uneven film with some gags inspired, others groan-inducing. The Guardian was kinder, saying as a whole, it's not exactly a masterpiece, but amiable and funny in a way that's much harder to achieve than it looks. The Washington Post gave it 2.5 stars and said, Unfrosted may be the platonic ideal of the Netflix movie. Ephemeral, edible, enjoyable, forgettable. Jerry kicked off the Netflix Is a Joke Comedy Festival last week. He did the show with Jim Gaffigan, Nate Bargatze, and Sebastian Maniscalco. Jerry called it, according to the Hollywood Reporter, one of the best nights I've had in my entire life. Wow. Jerry said, I'm here with the greatest comedians we could get that were available tonight. How's it none of us had a gig? We've never been on a stage together in our lives. This is our first time. Sebastian Maniscalco said, I'm not used to working with other people, so I'm kind of put out of place and trying to figure out where I belong in this group. Seinfeld said, I used to work with 3 other very funny people. I got used to that. Seinfeld told the audience the group had to figure out who was going to go in what order. They drew numbers out of a hat. Maniscalco got 1, Bargatze 2, Gaffigan 3, Seinfeld 4. That's a hell of a coincidence. Gee, you think? You think that was the order? Sebastian, Nate, Jim, Seinfeld? Yeah, what did you think? Gaffigan said, I've been praying for 3rd. Sebastian introduced Maniscalco, saying he's one of my favorite comedians. Come on, that's how you would sequence it. What are you going to have, Jerry go first and Sebastian close? Get out of here with that story. Bourbon entrepreneur Jim Gaffigan commented on accusations he's on Ozempic after a recent weight loss. He denied it. He said he's on a similar medication, Mounjaro. I had to look that punchline up. That is a type 2 diabetes treatment to lower A1C. Jim said, I'm not playing Major League Baseball. I'm just a fat guy trying not to die. I'm trying to enjoy being thin because I know I'm going to be fat again. This is not sustainable. This is the drug. To close out the night, Jerry did jokes about marriage, golfing, and AI and said, I like AI. I like it. It can't write this. I looked at stuff. Terrible. It can't write comedy. It's not dumb enough. You need a certain amount of dumb for this, and you can't teach that. That's a gift. Oh, I accept the challenge here. Let's see. Let's go to ChatGPT. Write Seinfeld style jokes about, what should we go with? Chairs. Yeah, maybe Jerry's right. Here's the best one the chat came up with. Chairs are like the ultimate interrogators. You sit down, suddenly they're asking questions. Why are you sitting like that? Are you really going to eat another slice of pizza? Not awful. You drop that in the middle of a set and have a proper comedian tell it, those 2 might have worked. I bet Jerry would have got a laugh with that pizza line. More Netflix. They announced 7 new comedy specials. They are from Michelle Buteau, Ali Wong, Bert Kreischer, Dion Cole, Fortune Feimster, Gabriel Iglesias, and Joe Coy. I don't know if you guys know Joe Coy. Filipino comedian, bald. He hosted the Golden Globes. He got in a bit of trouble last year. He told a joke about Taylor Swift that didn't go over so well. Here, let me play the clip to remind you.
The big difference between the Golden Globes and the NFL, on the Golden Globes, we have fewer camera shots of Taylor Swift.
True. Brutal. If everything went according to plan, Cole and Wong have already recorded their new specials at the festival. Gabe's will be the ones I told you about recently, recording at the Hard Rock in Hollywood, Florida, June 12th to the 14th. Michelle Buteau will film her second special for Netflix at Radio City this summer. Joe Coy, I'm not doing it again. He was taped at the King's Theater in Brooklyn, New York last November. No word on Fortune Feimster's taping. The 800-pound gorilla said Hassan Minhaj hosted one of the most impressive drop-in shows they've ever seen at a Netflix is a Joke festival, right? I mean, that's kind of a subset there. Cypher Sounds warmed up the crowd with some music. Then Hassan came out and did a quick 5 minutes about having Ashley Biden at one of his shows and wishes it was Hunter. He also did material about Zillow, the first drop-in, Tim Dillon. The gorilla says Dillon may be a big draw, but he did have his work cut out for him when he came to this particular crowd. There are two types of comedians, ones who care deeply about winning over an audience, and those who genuinely don't care. I know which Tim is. He is the latter. His set ranged from Ozempic to not knowing how to fix the Middle East to TikTok. He did end up showing his impressive crowd work chops with a few people in the crowd. The gorilla writes, if Dillon is the comedian that seemingly doesn't care about winning over a crowd, Bert Kreischer is at the opposite end of that spectrum. Came out, took off his shirt, talked about losing weight, talked about how Hassan is his daughter's favorite comedian, phone stuff with his wife, and then visiting the Anne Frank house. Like Tim Dillon, Bert Kreischer couldn't help but address this is not his usual audience. Next up, Zainab Johnson with a short set. That's a tough draw following those two. Then Nikki Glaser, who did a large chunk on depression, why she wants to stay alive and aging. And then Miss Pat. Wow, what a random show. Miss Pat talked about being bored by being married and getting older. She played off the energy in the room, making it clear she wasn't there to be heckled. She got particularly friendly with a white guy in the front row named Brad. And then Ronnie Chang. What a weird show. Chang talked about loving America and his MAGA friend. He then segued into talking about canceling, saying canceling isn't what it used to be. Called out Hassan and Minhaj directly. Minhaj started heckling him before rising out of the crowd and joining Ronnie on stage for a heated 15 minutes of back and forth. They started talking about the infamous New York article where Minhaj made up some things. Minhaj accused Ronnie Chang of leaking the story. Hassan said, who the F fact-checks stand-up comedy? Only Ronnie Chang would set me up. Sounds like an awesome show. Whew. That first half was so long. No joke, I took a lunch break. My sugars crashed during that first half. I had a chopped, spicier Sonoma salad. Chopped is my favorite. It is so good. The salads are like $16. This one was delicious. I might have to start buymeasalad.com/Daily Comedy News, but that's not a thing yet. Where were we? Seriously, I just took, it was, half an hour. Let's do the Sydney Comedy Festival. I'll do it quick because we are so long today. Oh, good for me. There's only one show on Tuesday, the Sydney Comedy Festival Showcase. All right, keep moving, John. Netflix, before I forget, tomorrow, 9 a.m. is the Two Bears 5K. Tonight at 7, the Sinbad Tribute Show. Gabe Iglesias has Late Night at the Hollywood Palladium. That's at 10:30. Berbiglia at 7. The Gods of Comedy with David Letterman at 7:30. Unclear who the guest is. He's also doing that show the next 2 nights. Earthquake at 7. Joel Kim Booster, 2 shows, 7 and 9:45. Donnell Rawlings at 7. I'm all stuffed up now from the spice in the spicier Sonoma salad. Tony Rock at 7:30. A lot of shows from Monday. And a bunch of others I did not tell you about. The Great Outdoors Comedy Festival announced that Shane Gillis will headline August 24th. Some yucky news. British comedian Dane Batiste allegedly posted an anti-Semitic death threat about a female comic. Prominent members of the British comedy community rounded on Baptiste as he was accused of publishing a now-deleted Instagram post in which he told an unidentified female comedian per Deadline that he would sit in prison while your family sit at the cemetery. No, not cool, dude. Per Deadline, the UK's Community Security Trust is a charity that examines incidences of anti-Jewish hate. They've been notified about Baptiste's message, which began, a quick note to the Zionist comedian stalking my family's page. Baptiste wrote, I want you to sit down with your husband and kids and imagine what their lives... I don't even want to repeat this. Because North London is a quick trip and a think tank will have to be an actual tank to keep you safe from me. Dude, awful, awful, awful. Ask about and comedians will tell you. I will be at your literal doorstep. Your agent will keep you safe. Your act is dumb, but don't be a dumb woman. Yikes. Deadline writes they do not know the identity of the comedian Baptiste was allegedly threatening. The post has been deleted, but it's making the rounds on Twitter. Ricky Gervais reposted a post that highlighted Baptiste publicly threatening to kill a Jewish woman. Another comic, Marcus Brigstow, wrote, the threat made by Dane Baptiste against a woman on IG wasn't vague and cannot be justified. It was targeted and dangerous, driven, in my opinion, by anti-Semitism and misogyny. I refuse to look the other way and stay silent while only Jewish friends speak up. I see a Instagram post 1 day ago, so it's Friday, 1:18 p.m. Eastern for me. Instagram's telling me this is from 1 day ago on what I believe to be Dean's account. It has a check mark. In the recent past, I've received a number of threatening and abusive messages from accounts accusing me of anti-Semitism for having pro-Palestinian views. I have a new family, and my partner made me aware that some of the same people were monitoring her Instagram account. In a massive error of judgment, I posted an excessive and impulsive response, hoping to dissuade anybody monitoring my family. I made a point to say Zionist and not Jewish, but I appreciate how disturbing, threatening, and incendiary that language is. I would categorically state that I have no ill intention toward the Jewish community and never have. I have a loving family of which I am massively protective of. I reacted poorly and emotionally to a perceived threat with no considered thought to the consequences, and I apologize profusely for my actions to the Jewish community, my colleagues, and my fans. That is an Instagram post that's all white text on a black background, no image. Dean apparently had been dropped by his agencies as I record this on Friday. Meanwhile, in Madison, Wisconsin, a theater canceled a show featuring Michael Rappaport. He was scheduled to play at Comedy on State on Thursday. I feel like we've heard about them before. Chappelle in the back of my mind, something. The venue sent out an email to ticket holders Wednesday night saying the show was canceled due to safety concerns from escalating protests and the, quote, contentious nature of the dialogue, unquote, surrounding the conflict in Gaza. Apparently, the statement reads, in light of the current environment downtown, marked by escalating protests and a contentious nature of the dialogue surrounding current affairs, we've made the difficult decision to cancel the Thursday show with Michael Rappaport. The safety and well-being of our audience members, staff, and community are our top priorities. We believe this decision is in the best interest of all involved. Rappaport went on Twitter and called the situation in Madison, quote, very, very, very bleeped up. Apparently, Comedy on State is less than a mile away from a student encampment that was set up to protest Israel's response to the attacks by Hamas in Gaza. Jon Stewart not on tonight because he was out at the Netflix is a Joke Festival in L.A. So Jordan Klepper will do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but Jon Stewart will do Thursday. And that is your comedy news for today. Long one. All right. If you like these episodes commercial free, open up Apple Podcasts, become a paid subscriber, $4.99 a month. You'll get this commercial free asterisk, and you get the other shows on the Calaroga Shark Network also ad free. So that's exciting. Now the asterisk, as I've been explaining, I have to manually load it when I get up. Most mornings I'm hitting it at about 7:25 a.m. Eastern. Now Becky lives in Central Time, and we were texting on the side, and doesn't seem to be a problem for her because apparently she sleeps in and isn't up by 6:25. I don't know what her deal is at all. Anyway, that's your comedy news for today. I'm just kidding, Bex. Follow the show for free if you want on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get the shows. All right, later.